Hi there. Welcome to Modern Classrooms program with Teresa Brewer. We're going to look at the modern classroom, and the program is pretty simple. You plan backwards, teach forward. You create teaching PowerPoints and make videos on those and present them to the students in advance on whatever platform that you choose. You're going to use mastery checks, supplemental activities, and a mastery progress tracker. Planning and prep is simple. You choose your lesson, you break it down into small parts, create a slideshow. Once you've got your slideshow, you do a video of you teaching that lesson, and then you post it onto Google. I use Google, or you could use whatever platform you desire. And once it's posted, they can view that lesson on their own. And then when they come to class, they've already had the lesson, and then you can work in supplemental activities. You can talk about it. You can do small group work, just however you want to proceed from there. And you present the slideshow while you video yourself talking about it and going over several points, 3 to 7 points. Be sure to create a learning design plan that kind of lays everything out for the students. And this plan will include your delivery platform, how you're going to use it, and you'll make sure the students understand how, where, and when they might find their lessons, and all the supplemental materials, and your checklist. Here's a sample learning design plan. This is mine. Students have a class. They'll join that class with a Google Classroom code. They'll have a news feed for all of the incoming lessons. They will have their all their items in docs or forms, Google Forms. Students can see their work organized there in the self-planner, a pacing guide, and everything's kind of all in one place that way. This is an example of me teaching a lesson. That's my PowerPoint you see behind me there. And there I'm videotaping that so they can watch it before coming to class. So you load your PowerPoint and your video up. You keep your lesson brief. You hit a few points. The video should be 3 to 7 minutes maybe. Not too long because you don't want to bore them. Students view on their own time at their own pace. They can view it more than once. And then you can meet during class and discuss the lesson. And that's blended learning. So, and then you're going to provide some reinforcement too. For example, my subject was sociology, and I'm a visual learner, so I like to do graphic organizers, and this one is Social Stanley. He has master status, a scribe status, and also achieve status, and they gave examples of those. And then I can check that even as another master check if desired. Okay, but this one for me was a should do. It was not a must do, but it was a should do. Now you're going to have a mastery check. So to be sure that each child understands the lesson as you have gone over it, you're going to give them a mastery check and a little assessment with just a few items. So if you go to slide 9, here's an example. 3 simple questions. You can see if they've met the objectives or not, if they understand. I also like to include some should-do items. They can be fun. This one's for vocabulary and just so they understand basic concepts, and it's kind of a fun activity for them. Students have a task list defining which items are must do, which is required, next steps, which we would call should do, and then aspire to do, which is your enhancement level. You could even use this for gifted children if you wanted to. So if you'll take a look now, on this slide 11, I'm a visual person, so I have included my must-dos in red, my should-dos or next steps in blue, and then the aspire to do in black, and they know that everything in red has to be done for sure. The items in blue should be done if you have time, but be sure to hit those core lessons first. You can't move on to the blue or black activities until all the red activities have been completed and mastered. That brings us to the Mastery Progress Tracker. What does one look like? Well, you just saw it on slide 11, and it's needed because students have to have a little bit of flexibility. Some students work a little faster than others. There are several pros to this program. One is that it's blended learning mixed with 21st century learning skills, and that's very good instruction. It provides more teacher time for each student because you're actually teaching outside of the classroom, and then students can view it or review it as needed prior to coming to class, and then class time is set aside specifically to spend time directly with the students, going back over what they may have missed or discussing the objectives. And kids can learn from home also if needed. If you have an NTI day or there's inclement weather or a student gets injured, say in sports, they can stay home and they can do an NTI day from home with this type program. So it's got a lot of pros. There were a few cons, and I've listed those there. One, to set up your program, it takes a good deal of time initially. You're going to invest a lot of time to start it up because you have to make all of your slideshows and video lessons prior to, getting started, and that takes a little bit of time. Some of the programs might be new to the user. I didn't know, I wasn't familiar with all the platforms. Google is great and I use it all the time, but there were a couple that I wasn't 100% familiar with, so I had to learn just a little bit, and that's okay. It was a productive struggle. And the last thing that it may be a con is that every child will need a device in order to be successful in this type program, because you just have to have it in order to prepare for class. But that's no different than textbooks used to be. So we all have to have a device today. And that's it. It's just, it's a really good program. I would recommend that anybody at least try it and see if it's for you. And I've used it with some pretty good measure of success. The kids really seem to like it.